Which Florida Gators signees have the best chance to play early in 2024? We'll talk about that here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast or watch on YouTube. Happy Tuesday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole Nine Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33. Hope you all had I hope everybody listening, whether you celebrate or not, had a nice long weekend. Maybe it continues going. Maybe you don't have to go back until January 3rd. Hopefully that's what it is for you. Love that for you. Today we're going to talk about the Florida Gators freshmen that have the best chance of playing early. I asked the Locked On Gators subtext group this after I had already made my list, so their responses will not be in here. But I am curious for you if you want to share what team or what freshman you think will have the best chance of playing early. Not who's the best. Like DJ Lagway is not on my list. I'm letting you know that right now. He's the highest rated freshman in the class. Yeah, he's an awesome quarterback, great prospect. However, you can only play one quarterback at a time most of the time. And DJ Lagway will be likely backing up Graham Mertz. The first guy who is on my list, though, is LJ McCray. 6'6", 260 pounds, sixth highest rated player in the nation. I think he's got a legitimate chance at playing early on. If you look at just this Florida Gators roster, who's coming back, who's not, and you look at Jack, Princely's gone. TJ Searcy is the next man up. And if LJ does want to play Jack, right now it's TJ Searcy behind him. There's not a ton of competition for him right now. Or we'll say this, there's competition, but it's an open competition. It's not like he's going into the Jack position battle way behind everyone else. He's got to catch up to the playbook, and that might be the most difficult part for him. But for the most part, he's right there. He's going to be competing with, it's TJ Searcy. Kelby Collins, I think, will play more of the F spot this year, that defensive end, opposite the Jack. So I think Kelby Collins will be more there this year, as well as Justice Boone will be rotating in at that spot as well. Tyreek Sapp. Then you look at Jack, and Kelby might play a little bit there. TJ Searcy's best suited for there easily. Bryce Capers, Jack Pyburn. It's kind of it. And Jack Pyburn just got surgery on his torn ACL about a month ago. There's not much development he's going to get to do. And in spring ball, that means more reps for someone like LJ McCray. So I do think that LJ is going to find his way into playing time early. And we'll even talk about how I think he could play that F spot as well. I think that I think that you can compare what LJ McCray brings to the table to what Kelby Collins brings to the table in terms of his versatility. I think they can both play that Jack spot a bit, F spot a bit, and kind of just rotate wherever you need to go. And if you want to go heavy, you can put them both on the field. If you want to go light, you can put them both on the field, one at the F, one at the 3 tech, and you can get kind of creative with how things are going. Also, I think it's important to acknowledge this. Obviously, what I'm saying now very well could change and probably will change before the end of the season because, well, guess what? Or before the start of the season, because transfer portal, second signing day, if Florida decides to target anyone else, things can obviously change. Players can leave, like Jalen Kimber entered the portal on Friday. But anything could happen, anything could change. But right now, when we're looking at who can contribute early from this class, you have to talk about LJ McCray first. You just have to acknowledge that immediately because, again, Tyreek Sapp, I think when Justice Boone comes back, Justice Boone's going to jump Tyreek Sapp on the depth chart. Okay. I think Kelby Collins might jump them both, especially if you look at this defensive front and you go, well, we want to get Kelby and TJ Searcy out there as frequently as possible. The best way you do that is TJ Searcy at the jack and Kelby Collins at the F. So maybe that's the approach that this team takes. But I do think that LJ is going to find playing time. I think that his versatility opens up that ability to find playing time. Because, yeah, he can play jack if you need it. He can play F if you need it. Odds are someone's going to underwhelm somewhere. Odds are someone's going to get hurt somewhere. That's football. So I do think that when you look at LJ McCray, you see someone who can step in right away at that spot again. Because you look at the depth, the remaining edge players, like players that are listed as edge on the Florida Gators roster, not Princely. Princely's gone. You have Kelby Collins, you have Justice Boone, TJ Searcy, Cam James, Bryce Capers, Jack Pyburn, Lane Swafford, Quincy Ivory. Kind of a lot of playing time available, right? Because you just lost Princely. You just lost the guy who played some of the most snaps for your team at that end spot, at that jack spot. Just looking at the snap count defensively, there were 734 total snaps in the season for the Florida Gators defense. Princely Umanmielen played 566 of them. The only people who played more snaps than him were Jordan Castell and Jason Marshall Jr. Then it was Princely. So Princely not only was your best player on defense, but he also was the guy who played the most. So I think you're looking at a ton of snaps clearing up. You're looking at LJ McCray. I mean, there's a reason he's number 6 in the country, right? It's not, he's going to need some time. That's not why no. Number 6 in the country means this dude can ball early. And that should be the expectation, I think, when you're looking at, again, there still could be some more attrition. We could see someone like Bryce Capers, who was showing some flashes before getting hurt. We could see him jump out. Cam James is damn near 270. He's basically LJ McCray's size. I don't know if Cam can play that jack spot consistently, but he's a little bit heavier than LJ. But could play the F spot more. Could be a light 3 tech in passing down situations. There's a lot of versatility on this defensive front, which I think opens up playing time for everyone because you can play multiple people at multiple spots and just rotate them around a little bit. We also have to talk about, we're going to talk about offensive players for the rest of the show, but I do think that LJ is number 1 in terms of who's going to get the most playing time as a freshman for the Florida Gators. And we'll get to the offensive players in just 1 second. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by eBay Motors. With passion, drive, and patience, that's what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number 1 ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast. Second player that we're going to talk about that I think has a great chance of playing early, at least how things look right now, is Kanan Daniels. Kanan Daniels is, of course, the running back commit from Mississippi. He is, I think, 7th highest rated player in the class. Yeah, 7th. I just want you to know, I just eyeballed that class. So I just want to say 7th highest rated player in the class, number 187 nationally, 13th running back in the nation. And personally, I've said this multiple times. Brian Smith, our recruiting insider, has said this multiple times. He should have been higher. Like, Kanan Daniels is a hell of a rusher. And we've talked about it before. We've had this conversation where if you can run in the level of high school ball that he plays, Like if you could run in Mississippi 5A, you can run anywhere. We've talked about this so many times that QB, receiver, running back, he's done it all. He's been a leading ball carrier in a very run heavy offense. And he's been the guy to help them win a state title before he leaves. But if you can run in Mississippi 5A, you can run. That's always been how it goes. And guess what? He can run in Mississippi 5A. I do think that Kanan is someone who can step in right away and play mainly because, and I've said this a billion times, I think that his best trait that he presents is his vision as a ball carrier. When you watch his film, you look at the way that he can see a cutback lane opening up as it's happening. And I know that Brian Smith on yesterday's show mentioned, hey, he reminds me kind of like Emmett Smith, Marcus Allen, obviously not as good as those guys, but in the sense of he's so good even in the goal line because his vision helps him open. Like he could just see things happening and you're not touching him. And that's why he's not a power, he's not Derrick Henry on the goal line. However, you're not touching him because he knows where he has to get to and he can see where it's happening. And obviously, I'm not saying Kanan Daniels has that kind of like generational world breaking vision. However, you watch the vision, you watch the patience. If you want a more modern back, you could compare him to, we could say like a Le'Veon Bell type where he's patient, got the cutback vision, active as a pass protector, active as a pass catcher. He can do it all as a running back. And yeah, obviously it's different going from Mississippi 5A, which is still very good, to the SEC. But I think that he can do it genuinely. I do. I think that the offensive line needs to improve. But I think Kanan Daniels is someone who can genuinely play at running back right now, especially when you look at what the running back room looks like. Because again, I expect Montrell Johnson to be back. I've said that since the end of the season that he hasn't said he's coming back yet, but I expect him back because I do think that he can genuinely help himself with one more year of college ball. I think that when you look at 2022 film to 2023 film, he did not look as punishing as a runner in 2023. He had the most drops on the team and obviously did not have the most targets on the team. And his pass protection got better. It was better than what Trevor Etienne brought to the table, but could still stand to see some pretty welcome improvement there. So I think that Montrell should come back because I do think that he can genuinely help his draft stock. Trevor Etienne is gone. Cam Carroll, I've been told, may not be back. Then you had Carlson Joseph at the transfer portal. Not expecting anything really from Anthony Rubio. Eddie Battle, I believe, is out of eligibility. Jacoby Jackson, I think maybe played a couple of snaps at some point in this past season. Trayon Webb was a true freshman. I will say, I don't think Trayon Webb played great. I don't think he played poorly. I just think it was kind of average production there. So you look at, first off, Montrell might not come back again. I think he does. I think he should. And I think he will. But if he doesn't, yeah. Either way, I expect Florida to look into the transfer portal to bring in another running back that can maybe contribute early on. But again, path is there for someone like Kanan Daniels to play early. Like the path is clearly there for Kanan Daniels to find some snaps in this running back rotation that they want multiple guys. We know that. They want multiple running backs out there. You got 130 carries that freed up from Trevor Etienne leaving. You got 3 carries that freed up from Carlton Joseph. So you got 133 carries that opened up, not including the passes to the running back, not including any of that. So you've got plenty of snaps available. Florida is always going to rotate running backs as long as Billy Napier is the head coach. And especially if, again, I don't think some of the rumors for offensive coordinator are going to happen, but the names that we've heard, Brandon Marion, Willie Corn, use multiple running backs at the same time on the field. So if you do end up making a hire at offensive coordinator, which we'll talk about in due time, you're going to have multiple running backs on the field, multiple running backs seeing the field consistently, seeing touches consistently. So I think that with Kanan, he could play early. I don't feel the same way about Jaden Ball, the other running back that Florida brought in. I think Kanan is much more ready to play right away, and Jaden Ball is better as a kind of gadgety type guy early on, maybe just pure passing down specialist. But even then, pass pro has got to be something you can do there. The last player that we're going to talk about here on the offensive side, Jerrod Hawkins, wide receiver out of IMG. He is the 8th highest rated player. He is right below Kanan Daniels in the class for Florida Gators. He's about 40 spots below him nationally on the consensus and 24/7. But Jerrod Hawkins, I get his nickname's Tank, but the dude is fast. It's like ironically Tank. It's one of those times where he's 5'9", 165. It's like Gervonta Davis, I believe it is. That is the boxer nicknamed Tank, and he's like relatively tiny. But when you look at this receiver room, first off, you lost Ricky Pearsall. So Ricky Pearsall is gone. Those snaps have freed up. You've lost Caleb Douglas. You've lost Ty Bowman. All guys who aren't, the last Caleb Douglas and Ty Bowman. Caleb Douglas was injured and then did not finish the season, and Ty Bowman barely played this season. But Ricky Pearsall leaves a receiver spot open. Maybe that's filled by Chimere Dike. Maybe that's filled by Andy Jean or Aiden Mizell or someone stepping up. But I do think that Jerrod Hawkins is one of those players that Billy Napier is going to want to get on the field. I look at using Jerrod Hawkins as a Eugene Wilson III type. Like what we saw Eugene Wilson III do this year. I don't think we see him do that as much next year. I think we see Billy Napier use him more as a legitimate wide receiver, which we kind of saw towards the end of the year a little bit, where he was more running routes and not just taking little pop passes and end arounds and all that stuff, which is fun. Like he's a great player, that he's a dynamic playmaker with the ball in his hands. Let him do those things. Like still allow him to do those things. But when you're not doing those things, I think you need to kind of loosen him up as a receiver more. We saw him against the Arkansas game. They came out in a bunch set, and he was the inside guy, and he ran a wheel around everybody and caught a touchdown doing it. And let him get downfield. Having someone like Jerrod Hawkins, I think, allows you to use Eugene Wilson III like that, because you can use Jerrod Hawkins as the gadgety type where you can just pop pass whatever it is. But you can fake the pop pass and have Eugene Wilson III running over top, or you can get creative with how you're going to do things. So I think that, I double reverse with both of them running around. Who the hell knows who's going to get the ball? Let's get weird with it, right? So I think Jerrod Hawkins is someone that's going to play early. I don't think he's a refined route runner at all right now. I do think that technique has quite a bit of work to do. But again, he's one of those players where you can look at him and say, as a true freshman, we feel like you can contribute early. Like we feel like you can step in and contribute. Run a slant real quick. Like that you can do. Line up in the slot, run a slant. Line up out wide, run that little motion in between, and if you get it, you get it. Run straight, and we're just going to throw the ball to you. Because again, he's fast. He's shifty, but he's also fast as hell. Like he is a genuinely just a speed demon type receiver. He ran, I believe it was a 4.25 laser time at Ohio State's pro day a little while ago. 10.45 in the 100 meter, 21.48 in the 200 meter. Like he's genuinely one of the fastest players on the team immediately. And it's different because I know that Aiden Mizell is also one of the fastest players on the team immediately, and he didn't contribute much as a true freshman. Different kind of speed, different kind of wiggle. Like Aiden Mizell is straight line fast. I don't think he's got a ton of wiggle to his game, which is fine. He's got size. Like Jerrod Hawkins is fast, has wiggle, does not have the size. So like that's kind of where we see that wild differentiation between the two. But I think Dre Hawkins is the type where you give him those little pop passes, you give him the reverse. Hell, put Trey Wilson in the Wildcat, let him hand it off to Dre Hawkins, run a little power read type thing, which we've seen Florida show interest in doing. There's a few times they've gone Wildcat, run power read, run the jet sweep, whatever it is. I think Dre Hawkins is someone that Billy Napier is going to want to get the ball early. And so for me, I think that, yeah, LJ McCray, Kanan Daniels, Dre Hawkins will play early. I didn't put Miles Graham or Aaron Childs on the list because I think playing linebacker at the SEC as a true freshman, it's hard as hell to do that. Fletcher Westphal, I don't think, again, freshman off the tackle. Amir Jackson, a tight end, freshman at tight end, they just don't contribute a ton. That's not what we see from them frequently, especially with at tight end. You've got Keon Zipper likely coming back. Hasn't said he's not coming back. He's got one more year of eligibility. Tony Livingston with another year under his belt. Like we've had Hayden on the show before, and he's been like, once Tony gets like the playbook down and once he gets those nuances down, he's gonna be good. Like we've had that on the show before, and then didn't go below Dre Hawkins, where you have guys like Tawaski Abrams, Josiah Davis, Mike Williams, Jaden Ball, Teddy Foster, Greg Smith, all those guys, Makai Boy-Rowe. We didn't talk about those guys, and we didn't talk about the transfer guys because again, this is true freshmen that can contribute. But Florida's brought in some guys that I do think will play early, and we'll probably see someone that we didn't really anticipate playing early play early because that's just how it happens, and become a full-blown starter probably because that's just how Billy Napier does things. But thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast. We will be back tomorrow to talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole Nine Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33, and I will see you all tomorrow.